Let's get to Jack Leiter, really one of the highlights of the weekend. And, we've talked a lot about Jack, of course, over the offseason, Jeff. We've talked a lot about him at the end of last season.
Yeah.
We've already talked a lot about him in spring training. And we're all kind of going, well, Jack's going to be fine in the bullpen. Jack's okay with it. Mentally, Jack's okay with the bullpen. Bullpen. I got news for you, and I thought about it this morning when I was looking at this. Jack doesn't come to spring training thinking, I'm going in the bullpen. He's a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And this is where that competition comes. This is those competitive juices flowing. And Jack Leiter, Jeff, was throwing almost 100 miles an hour over the course of this weekend and spotting well and doing a great job. And, he did allow 2 hits in his second inning of work, no runs scored, and 2 hits and a walk, I think, or a hit batter maybe. And he worked out of that jam, right? So it's great to see that he's all in, right? He's like, I'm not just giving up and saying, just because the guys on the DLLS Rangers podcast and really most of the other media are saying I'll be in the bullpen. I think Jack Leiter's announcing with that performance, I'm here to compete.
It was an interesting weekend on the pitching front. Jack, 98, getting up there at 98. Now, but you might have seen both Jacks, the really good
true.
Jack, and then the Jack who kind of can be a little hairy. But if you are throwing in the strike zone, you're going to give up hits, so that's good. That's Greg Maddux. Of all the things that he did in baseball, never throw a no-hitter because he threw strikes. And sometimes you're just going to leave one, and somebody's going to put it in play, and it's going to find the outfield grass, or somebody's going to beat it out, or something. Okay, right? So. And that's fine. If you're working efficiently and competitive in the strike zone, then great. He's working on some different things. He's working on a new changeup grip. He's working on a 2-seamer that he wants to start throwing to right-handed hitters. He's maturing and evolving as a pitcher. And he could make the rotation. He's good. I think I mentioned this the other day. I was standing with Colby Lewis watching Jack throw a bullpen, and Colby was like, right there, what he's doing right now is good enough to get 90% of hitters out.
Wow. That's amazing.
But it sounds like you put a batter in the box and something happens. So,
because he was throwing a bullpen.
He was just throwing a bullpen
when
session,
you and Colby were watching. Gotcha.
And so it's like, well, what's the difference? You don't need to do anything different when there's a guy in the box. That's what Colby was saying. And I think that's what they're trying to get, maybe convince him, and hopefully he's learned that on his own, that his stuff plays. Don't worry about the hitter. Put the pitches where you need to put them, and throw the ones you want to throw when you want to throw them, and you're going to be just fine. So I still, though, tend to think that his best chance is through the bullpen. I wrote about this, and we talked about this last week. They need guys who can throw 2-3 innings at a time out of the bullpen, and they have minor league options, so that if something happens and the Rangers need a fresh arm, well, they got a guy. So, but he is competing, and he was really good last spring, and it turned into a really good year for him. He was got to keep in mind, he's the Pacific Coast League Pitcher of the Year last year. He was really, really good at AAA, where they have the ABS, where you see around that league walk totals going up because hitters will just spit on a pitch if they don't think they can handle it, or they think it might be a little bit off the plate. They're going to take it. And so that means that Jack's stuff was competitive in the zone, and when he got ahead, he was able to get guys to chase his swing, his slider, and whatever other off-speed pitches he's been throwing. So I'm not ruling out the rotation. I'm more bullish on the bullpen. Also not ruling out AAA. I mean, there are a lot of ways this could go, just depending on how this staff gets made out.
Yeah, it looked like the slider was working pretty well over the course of this weekend as well. So that was really nice for him. And of course, at this point, if you're talking about him competing for that 5th spot in the rotation, obviously there are 2 other names.
We all silly like the mayor.